Welcome to the video, guys. This is a video I wanted to make for almost a year because I was lucky enough to get invited to the Dustline event for Rainbow Six Siege last year, and they gave us, all the YouTubers that were there, a presentation about the conception of Rainbow Six Siege. And I wanted to make a video about it because it was such a cool story, but I couldn't because it was completely made up of internal only assets from Ubisoft, apart from one picture. And today the Ubisoft developers had a conception of Siege panel at the Rainbow Six Siege Invitationals, which meant that everything that was internal is now public. So I can finally make this video, and I'm so happy to be able to make this video as well, because this is cool. So what you're seeing on screen now, this picture is the beginning of Rainbow Six Siege. This is kind of where it all came from. This was the inception of it all, and what you're seeing here is basically an attacking team attacking a defending team, and the attacking team is using specialized siege weapons and the defending team is reinforcing their defenses. And that is how Rainbow Six Siege was created, from this picture to begin with, and it kind of built up from there. And after the presentation, I wanted to make this video because I thought this would be great, but the only thing I could use was this one image because I could find it on Google, and that was it. I was like, I can't actually use anything else, and I was like, I can't really make a video about one picture. And I really wanted to, like, it was a really cool story about how they went about creating Rainbow Six Siege and this whole mentality of who they picked to be on the team. So the game's original project name was actually Rainbow Six Siege Unbreakable. So this is before they came up with an official name for the actual game. But also it was the mentality behind who they picked for the development team that actually worked on Rainbow Six Siege. They had to have this kind of unbreakable mentality, and that would kind of get them onto the development team. And also the people who wanted to be on were people who requested, like, they actually really wanted to be a part of creating this game. They had a passion for it, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think it shows in the game we have how the developers have managed to take a game that looked like it was going to fail right off the bat. It didn't sell well, reviews weren't great, the big YouTubers didn't really cover it, and it looked like for most of the time that it just wasn't going to work, it was going to fail. And now we're at a point where it has this pretty big success, and it appears to be getting bigger and bigger. So major props to the developers. Now there was also some parts of the presentation I got that didn't make it into this one, so I thought we'd go over that as well. So, and this is probably because they weren't actually perfect for a live stream event, but this was the philosophy that they showed me when they did this presentation to me, which was that the game was going to be long term, no paywalls, and no player segmentation. And I think this is simply the reason why this game continues to be more and more successful, because as you add more content to it, you're not segmenting the players. It's not like you're getting the content and you can't play on the new maps. And if you play the game enough, you actually are going to be able to unlock all the new operators. You're going to unlock considerable amount of skins without paying a single thing apart from buying the game originally. And that to me is major kudos to the Rainbow Six developers. But not just that, they have actually changed the entire way Ubisoft is now looking at doing DLC for all future games. Like, that kind of change, it's crazy. Like, I don't think Rainbow Six Siege is so successful that it's like, Ubisoft's biggest money maker, but the fact that they have changed Ubisoft's philosophy from what they originally had as their own philosophy is just mind-blowingly awesome. Now the other thing I learned about it was that they went in with this idea of actually doing esports almost from right away. They had this idea that it could be a very successful esports game, and like when Rainbow Six first launched, it didn't really seem like that, and it wasn't until later that they added in the kind of spectator cam and things like that that were kind of needed for all of that. But the fact that they had that behind the game and kind of knew they were going to do that all the way through development is pretty damn amazing. Like, so you can see the video here that I captured at the Dustline event.
Keep droopy grids, keep mercs.
Let's see if they can pull it off. What they're doing right now on the walls is barricading them so they can't actually be broken with any breach charges.
And also we've got the exact same one now on the live stream. they were doing basically esport right from the start. You can see how early in development the game was, and they were doing tournaments with it, with actual commentators commentating on it. So they were really looking at the game as an esport game right off the bat. So I think that's kind of incredible that they predicted that success while the game was in such early development. Now what this early tournament also shows us is such early development in the game of how things evolved from what they began as to what they are now. So like you can see that the map they're playing on is Hereford Base, and Hereford Base was the first ever map created for Rainbow Six Siege. And you can see how much it's changed from what it was kind of originally made as. It looks like a far bigger map. It still looks to be maybe the same amount of floors, but the actual size of it is far bigger. And you also see things like gadgets. So we have something that's kind of spinning around, which could have been something like an early development of a Jaeger active defense system. So to think that they were already thinking about gadgets and defensive abilities and ways to increase defense by not just reinforcing things but also having gadgets to counteract things, shows how they really knew what they were doing right from the get-go. And I love this. I always love seeing behind the scenes. It's like on my channel as well. I love to put out videos that show what I do behind the curtain so that people can understand it more, because I used to be there. I used to be thinking, how do people make money on YouTube? How much do they make? How do YouTubers make their videos? Things like that. How do people get invited to events? And I love doing videos to show that, because I used to be there thinking, how does that happen? So I love seeing these kind of videos where the developers actually show us what was going on behind the scenes. And I love the fact that it's taken them this long to actually kind of come out and present it to the public, because the presentation I got was very much the same as what we've seen on the live stream. And at the time I thought, this is a wonderful presentation. I would love to see this go out to the public, and I was wanting to make that video. I was wanting to make this video right here where I would talk about it and actually give them a lot of praise for what they've done, and I couldn't because I only had one image to work with. But it really shows how the developers went into it with this idea of what they wanted, and then they really did create it. They really made it. And I hope that we get kind of more behind the scenes kind of presentations like this, because I'd love to see when the characters, when they decided they were going to make these special characters with special abilities, how they were going to kind of how they came up with this idea originally and gave all the characters kind of backstories. And I'd love to know how that came about, if that was early in development or if it was later in development. So I hope we're going to get more of these behind the scenes presentations in the future, because it really shows things that are really awesome. It shows how much work has gone into it, how many years of development went into the game to give us what we have. And like, we complain about bugs, we complain about matchmaking, servers, we complain about a lot, but the work that went into it to create the game we have has been such a huge success. And I think I just gotta give them major props for doing it and succeeding in what was kind of their original goal. They actually went in trying to make a certain game, and they came out the other side with that game, and it was exactly what they were trying to develop. So major props to the developers, and I hope they get much more success in the future. So guys, I expect Ubisoft will put a video on demand up somewhere for this presentation, and whenever they do, I will put a link in the description below linking to it, and I recommend you go watch it, because you will learn a lot about the actual development of the game and kind of why it's become a success. I think their mentality when developing it was the reason it was successful. So go check it out, and make sure you also tune into the invitationals on Twitch for Saturday and Sunday, where the developers will be doing reveals for the new DLC. We'll get to see the new map, we'll get new features as one of the panels, so I hope we get some really cool features. And yeah, tune in, watch, and of course I will also attempt to cover that stuff as well and make videos as quick as I can to update you on any news. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video that I've been waiting a year to make, and I'll catch you next time.